Alright, so we did archery one.
I would click with the mouse. The other team.
Oh, Henry's got this.
Which is more accurate, instinct or mechanics? At 30-yard range, we will test both a recurve and a compound ball in order to determine which is better choice when preparing for the zombie apocalypse.
Alright, so before we begin, we have an example of each bow, which first we're going to talk about.
Hold on. This is a recurve bow. So this is what we talk about when we talk about shooting with instinct. Amanda, dealing with Native Americans, that's how they used to shoot.
Thank you, Connor.
You're welcome. But there's no sights, so you have to shoot the bow and practice with it to understand where it's going to go. With a bow like this, if a person gets good enough, they can shoot in complete darkness with a flame at 30-yard range, and they can take out the flame without seeing anything but the flame at the end of the 30-yard range, just because it's all off of instinct. Whereas a compound bow, which is what I use for hunting and competitive shooting, you have to use a peep sight, and then you have to use your sights. You have to line up the 3 sights, and then you also have to have a release. I didn't bring it, but it clips onto here, and then you draw back. And then your pulley systems, so this is a 60-pound drawback, so it takes 60 pounds to draw back. But then when it goes to a release point, that slides, so you're only holding 15 instead of a total of 60, so you can hold it longer if you need to.
And we have a demonstration of a recurve right here.
Oh my God.
Get out.
And then it gets even better after. This is better.
This is not a traditional way to shoot a recurve.
No way. Oh my
So
God.
she's using instinct here instead of sights.
Oh God.
Okay, yeah, and we can't do this.
Have you tried it yet?
Are we not watching the other one?
Alright, so for the test and design, unlike commonly scored archery competitions, we will be focusing on the accuracy by measuring and comparing the groupings of the arrows instead of their scores on target. We will be performing a dressed-up observational study by taking 4 shots at a time per person, repeating this process 7 times. The value used will be determined by how many arrows fit inside a 5-gallon bucket at their base, which is approximately the size of a charging zombie's torso. The arrows and bows will be the same for each participant. We will be flipping a coin to decide what bow each person will start with.
We shall be using a 1 sample t-test or match pair for the total and the 2 sample t-test for the individuals to process our raw data. Because we have the 2 categorical variables of recurve or compound versus quantitative variable of the score by grouping, the p-value will be set at 0.05. Test whether the type of bow used is statistically significant to the groups of the arrows.
Henry shot, we found out he was better with the compound because he got a couple 4s and 3s.
But it was not quite significant with that p-value.
Connor shot, he was pretty much perfect, not significant, because they were both pretty much equal, except for that one little shot. I was even less significant. I don't really shoot bow and arrow, so I'm not that great. he shot. First shot too.
That was pretty awesome.
I was perfect. I was significant for compound, so I did pretty well at that.
Alright, so our compiled data with the t-test for the match pairs, since we each used both bows, the overall p-value was 0.058, so it wasn't quite significant which bow overall we used. That's the E-baby.
So overall, our p-value is not significant, but only just barely. This being said, it can be determined that the archer is more responsible for the accuracy than the bow itself. In the matter of proportions and validity of the test, however, we would have to dismiss Connor's data, or my data as we did not have 5 failures. So I'm too good for stats.
Alright, so our conclusion, if a zombie apocalypse were to occur, we would definitely make sure Tanner had a compound bow because it was statistically significant that he was more competent with it. Henry and Connor would be handed either or because the type of bow was not significant for them. But if it came down to it, Henry would get the compound and Connor would use the recurve because they would each have a better comparative advantage. We would just hand Austin a bat. And that is our